So thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's nice to see some people I haven't seen in ages, even if I have to look at you in a little square. But it's really nice to have all of you here. And tonight, with both the readers, I am not going to read bios. I'm just going to mention what Cervena Barva Press has published of theirs. I think everybody here knows them well enough and knows their history and their publications and books and so forth. So our first reader is Larissa, and we published her translation, Victory Over the Sun, in 2014. And it is a futurist opera. And can you hold up the book, Larissa? I don't have a copy here, but that's it. And I'll have her say the name of who it's by. There's no way I can pronounce it. So when she starts to read, I'll have her say it. And then also in 2008, we published A Cure for Suicide, and this is it. And she holds it too, so yay. And so I give you Larissa.
Okay, thank you all for coming. It's good to see so many wonderful poets in the midst. Thank you all for being here. Gloria published Victory Over the Sun, which is actually probably the world's first performance piece. This translation has been used at Caltech, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, at the Garage Museum in Moscow, and at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Many, it's been used in many places. So I'm very grateful that even though it was translated a very long time ago, Gloria had the vision to, but I'm not reading from that today. Today I'm reading from A Cure from Suicide, and I'll start with a poem called Personal. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what makes you fickle. I want to know what makes you stick. Tell me, which ion propels you? Which soothsayer spells you? Which folk singer trills you? Which hardwood distills you? Which downward dog twists you? Which protest resists you? Which neural net fires you? Which siren desires you? Which villanelle sings you? Which jailbreaker springs you? Which Uncle Sam wants you? Which calculus daunts you? Which lullaby lulls you? Which confidence gulls you? Which apple you'll bite from? Which hither you'll welcome? What makes me forget the right answers, consult necromancers, allow the forbidden, ignore the guilt-ridden, unlearn all the learning, embrace this new burning to know what makes you tick. This is a poem dedicated to the memory of my friend, Carol Novak. Some of you will remember her. She's the founder of Mad Hat, and it's called Oscillation. Cellular grandfather, pity me. Once it was understood how things were done, how the boiling ferns invited the glaciers to come, how the dinosaurs asked to die. Oscillation. The world was born in swing and sway, and I, fasting slowly, am not random nor mad, but large and more precise than you. My blood makes air and cells. My moon subtends the sky. My tides squeeze life out of rock. All my night journeys find a sun. I leave orchards and olives behind. I need audience participation, a brief. Gloria, actually, could you unmute and give me the numbers 1 through 5 scrambled?
Could you have someone else do it? I'm a little scratchy.
Okay, then Michael Young, can we unmute Michael Young? And can you give me a number, the numbers 1 through 5, but scrambled?
2, 4, 3, 1, 5.
Perfect, okay. I'm going to read this poem the verses first in the order I wrote them, and then I'm going to read them in the order that Michael gave me, verse 2, verse 4, verse 3, verse 1, verse 5. And this is called Seasick, S-I-C. Ramon Fernandez, tell me if you know the order of my words. This body, holy, holy, sings as best it can, lisping the mantra, soul. Alone, why did the singing stop and why? No, I never broke an honest sweat. Did I think the ocean would forget? In the horizon's glance, I see a wave rise, rise, rise and die out of nowhere again, but why? Now I'm going to read it in the order that Michael gave it to me. This body, holy, holy, sings as best it can, lisping the mantra, soul. No, I never broke an honest sweat. Did I think the ocean would forget? Alone, why did the singing stop and why? Ramon Fernandez, tell me if you know the order of my words. In the horizon's glance, I see a wave rise, rise, rise and die out of nowhere again, but why? So here we go. This is a quickie, but vow. We will love like dogwood, kiss like cranes, die like moths, I promise. This poem is based on answers to the poetry of Mahadevi Akka, who is a legendary Dravidian poet who, like Godiva, gave up wisdom and the wisdom of learned men and gave up a kingdom in order to walk naked and homeless and sing her verses to the god Shiva. She is a Shiva worshiper. And the translation of Mahadevi Akka's poetry is from Speaking of Shiva by A. Ramanujan. He translated the Mahadevi Akka parts of this poem. 1. Oh, brothers, why do you talk to this woman, hair loose, face withered, body shrunk? She has laid down with the Lord white as jasmine and lost case. It is in the experience of the ignorant that we learn. When you have learned, I will destroy all those who hurt you and their thoughts within you, both the lords of your rebirth and the master whores who took your night's wages from you. I will feed these wolf children woe, words, and wealth. Endless, they will talk until they choke. For them that hurt you, I will give claws to walk on, dirt beneath the nails that bury lies beneath their feet, and you will be my body, never returning, remembered as temple and body alone, and you will be my lotus, never returning, remembered as body, my temple alone. 2. I don't know meter or rhythm. I don't know dactyl or rhyme. My lord of the meeting rivers, as nothing will hurt you, I'll sing as I love. I'll sing as I love. Mahadevi Akka. And now Shiva. The pulse of my rhythm be the pulse of your song, my meter, your timbrel and gong. The poem to destroy your illusions is written by Lord Shiva Bhakti's true tongue. Come, choose, my beloved, the good dharma or ill. My lightning and thunder will strike where you will. When the road becomes weary and the wolves find you faint, I will strew it with holy men, teachers and saints, that ignorance may tickle your toes. 3, not 1, not 2, not 3, nor 4, but through 8,400,000 vaginas have I come. I have come through unlikely worlds, Mahadevi Akka. You will leave your wise men. Your mind with no object to rest on will ride on the horse of my breath. I will make love to you between rebirth, with penis and womb, with land and sea, and with wind and sun and death. And you will be my body, never returning, remembered as temple and body alone, and you will be my lotus, never returning, remembered as body and temple alone. And if you miss salvation, never returning, I will offer it bhakti, ever returning. again and again and again. And I will end with a somewhat a longer piece. This is a recipe, and it's called How to Meet and Dance with Your Death, Como Encontrar y Bailar con Su Muerte, a Cure for Suicide. This was told to me by an old curandera, an India from Brazil, whom I met in the Yucatan. She gave me this recipe and cautioned me that it could be done once and only once. To meet and dance with your death, take 2 gallons of pulque, fermented Mayan beverage, or if unavailable, gin, 1 case tequila, several cases beer, 1 bottle mezcal, 2 ounces good marijuana, carton cigarettes, 3 large peyotes, coffee as needed. For 3 weeks, do not eat meat, starch, sweets, or cabbage of any kind. You may have citrus fruits, papaya, watery vegetables, yuca and bacalao, salted nuts, cream, and a little halva. Drink and smoke every day, reserving the mezcal and peyote. Smoke the marijuana in silence. Drink only when there is music playing and people are dancing. At other times, walk, preferably uphill. Bailar con fuerza cada día. Dance vigorously every day, either alone or in a group, but never in a couple. Be friendly with the other dancers, but dance with no one partner longer than a few moments, and do not stay in one spot as it causes blood clots. Dance until your hair and clothing are entirely wet and your chin tilts upwards naturally. When you are not dancing, be silent or listen to music, but do not chatter and certainly do not converse. By all means, sing and chant, but do not ululate, because this brings forth unnecessary demons. When you have finished the pulque and most of the tequila, go to the city. Find 2 men, 1 dark and 1 light. They will be your guides. It is good if you like them, but they must not be your lover. Your lover always blocks your view of death. Su amante oscura su vista de la muerte. After you've visited 6 interesting places, go together to an old room and take the peyotes. Chop them well and mix them with strawberries and yogurt. The sour will help you not to vomit as much. An hour after you have taken the peyote, the light-haired man will appear to be asleep. Do not disturb him. He is calling your death. Take the hand of the dark man. Ask him where he wants to go and go with him. He will lead you to your death. Follow the dark man until he brings you to a crowd of people. You will see familiar faces in the crowd, family and old friends, but each time you turn to greet them, it will be a stranger. This is where you will meet your death. Your death will be a man who looks like you, a little taller, but with the same color hair and possibly the same nose. He will be wearing a hat, but will not be bald except for a very little at the back. He will appear preoccupied, perhaps agitated. He will be sweating. You will wonder where he has come from and whether he is sick. Do not ask, and do not ask him to dance. Wait. When he sees you, you will feel something just below your hair or in your nostrils, as if the room suddenly had become very cold or very quiet. You will hear a song, an unusual but very familiar song, and then both of you will leap to the floor at the exact same moment and begin to dance. You will dance for a long time, and you will never dance better. Death will continue to sweat. As his face begins to shine, you will see beneath his skin and know you are not dancing with a man, but with death. After that, you will never fear him again, nor seek him. When the dancing is over, go somewhere and drink the bottle of mezcal. Leave the worm in the bottle for death. Do this correctly the first time, because it cannot be done more than once. To do this once is sagrado, sacred. To do this more than once is common, so no le jode. If you do this more than once, you will do it often, and then you will become an old borracha who sleeps with common men. Punto. Thank you.
That was great, Larissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larissa. It was so nice to hear that work again. It's been a long time, and I loved hearing it again. And it feels good that I published it because I love it. So thank you. And our next reader is Bill Yarrow. And in 2013, we published Incompetent Translations and Inept Haiku. And here is that book. And I give you Bill.
Thank you, Gloria. First of all, congratulations on 15 years of Cervena Barva Press. That's a wonderful accomplishment. Thank you for all that you do for poets and poetry. And thank you for publishing my book. It was a great honor, and I loved the book, and I love the cover that you chose. The first poem I'm going to read is one of the Incompetent translations. This is a translation, a loose translation of El Desdichado by Gerard de Nerval. I am twilight's pissoir, the orphan's inclination. My star is dead, my constellation crushed. The Prince of Aquitaine has fallen and cannot rise. I am the shadow of wax wings slain. In the tomb, in the outre tombe, I see the Sea of Capri, the hearse of Merci, la lune des Pantoum, la place du Caprice. Désolé, désolé, where the vinegar and the wine are one. Cherie, I am naked and red. Give me back my color and my clothes. Give me back my singularity, my tristesse, my photo ID. She sits in the gondola and burnishes her arms. She puts the piquant radish in her mouth. She takes a loofah and wipes the rainbow from her neck. And this next one is called Flamethrower. It was 2:00 in the afternoon on Tuesday, July 11th, 1959. I was sitting in the air-conditioned Capitol Theater watching Gregory Peck and Pork Chop Hill. The theater was empty. Looking back now, it probably wasn't empty. How could it have been? Why would it have been? Wouldn't I have looked around to see who else was there? But why would I have? On the screen in front of me, enemy soldiers were confronting flamethrowers. Flamethrowers. I had never seen anything like them. Those tanks, those hoses, flames leaping out. I couldn't turn my eyes away. 50 years later, 50 wars later, many films later, watching people burn has lost much of its appeal. And this one is called Holy Week. You in Gurnee watching the attacks on television. I in Seville, the plaza filled with scourges in the hands of hooded men. You in the sunroom contemplating the clematis as it climbs the garage. I opposite the bright cathedral, contemplating God in all his disguises. One day, I will take you to Granada, and you will see how beautiful the Alhambra is. This next one is in two 13-line parts, deliberately 13 lines, and the poem's called Dead Parental Units. Each death a sonnet, each grief 14 lines, not yours. I refuse you this one thing. I sat next to you in the hospital, your mouth open on one side, your last breath escaped. I connect you with no other dead or myself with other weeping sons. I am only this son, holding his father's dead hand, watching his father's dead mouth. I will not write you sonnets. Sonnets are boxes, spaces for pain, graves to lie in. I have had enough of graves. I save for myself your last raw line. Another death, another sonnet, every grief 14 effing lines. not yours. I stood next to you at my sister's house, the family huddled around like reporters at a tornado. Terrified, we watched you drown. At dawn, they wheeled you out. Yes, mothers die and sons are sad, but I am not one of the many. I am one of the few who will not write you sonnets. I'm sorry, maybe that would have given you what? Solace, satisfaction. Sonnets are boxes, I mean coffins. You want me to build you a coffin? How many coffins do you need? And this one is about a character named Cranshaw, who appears in a number of my poems. And this is called Cranshaw at the Dinner Party. Cranshaw leans back in his chair and cracks the back leg. He sits suddenly straight to hide what he did. The hostess steers the conversation to the politics of bullying, which everyone decides is the nature of the beast. Dessert is served, toffee cheesecake with kiwi. It begins to hail. What does the future hold, the hostess asks. Says Mark, the wise guy, hands. Maury, the florist, offers opportunity. The reins, insists Bertram. The future holds the reins. Just men, the hostess queries. No woman has anything to add? Cranshaw stares at the woman whose shawl refuses to cover her breasts. He leans forward and touches her knee with his toe. Back, she yelps. Bertram bellows. The future holds back. Ha 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 ha. Brilliance. And this is the last one I'm going to read from the Incompetent Translations book. I want to read a few others from a couple other works. And this one is called We Don't Need No Education. You were sitting with your vexed complexion, your dour shoulders, your hoarse aloneness in the front row of my English for Unwed Mothers class. And I hadn't yet read your essay on miscarriages of injustice, nor had you read Montaigne's that men are justly punished for being obstinate in the defense of a fort that is not in reason to be defended. And it wasn't yet Thursday, 2004, when we would be sitting on the curb in front of the sick community cafe, where you were telling me the body is a tabernacle of bliss and blister. And the smile on my face was palpably inept, and I blurted out, there's an ill energy that emanates from your precise heart that I find attractive, to which you replied, editing me with the surgeon's cruel disinterest. You mean I have an attractive ill energy? And I said, yes, that's what I mean, though that wasn't at all what I meant. And the sun was pursuing the moon in an ineffable dance of unlikelihood and redress. And you were wearing your father's shoes, though I remember thinking, what large feet you had, learning later that that was unfair and untrue. Learning later that your heart, like all hearts, was fuzzy, not precise, that your candor was a sham, that you were neither a mother nor unmarried, that my interest in you was not interest at all, but usury, that I was a man not in full, but in foolishness, a false Montaigne, whose chin beard, though elegant, was the merest bravado. And read a few more from a couple other works. And these poems that I've chosen all have a kind of renewed relevance because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So, so I thought I would share those with you tonight. This is called When the Translator Disappears, the Translation Withers and Dies. The kidnapping of the translator made big news for a short time, but then the general incomprehensibility of things resumed, and everyone except Lorraine went back to work. Lorraine refused to extend the futility of human communication. What was the point, she wanted to know? What was the point of speaking if now that the translator had been kidnapped, no one could decipher what she or anyone else had to say? Lorraine could not fathom how people could return to work. How was work even possible, she wondered. An iron silence began to oppress her as she slept. It crept into her body, and she felt herself incapable of raising her arms in greeting or to ward off a blow. She sank deep into bitterness, dreading the dawn and the sight of neighbors, egregious in their pretense of meaningful speech. She pined for the return of the translator, who became messianic in her eyes. Her dreams became denuded of images, infused only with 2 lines of unvarying dialogue. Come back to me. Can't you see I've never left? It was the translator speaking. He was holding her in his arms. He was looking at her with the tenderness she so terribly craved. And she felt suddenly, as if for the first time, understood. And she understood perfectly, the repressed caress of words that poured effortlessly from his mouth. And this one is appeared in my first chapbook called Wrench that appeared in 2009. And it has a kind of strange relevance today. It's called Why Go Outside? And I guess perhaps I've been living the life of quarantine for 13 or 15 years, I don't know. So this is called Why Go Outside? Why go outside when you can play the piano to disinfected engagés in rooms with mirrors the color of linoleum? Why go outside when you can commune directly with the lucent dead? Why go outside when inside oysters can be had in cans and Walter Scott can be had in leather? Why go outside when you can listen to frail marmosets dance Morse code on your bedroom dresser at dawn? Why go outside where it is benighted and melanemic? Why go outside where the gutters are fraudulent and clogged with popularity? Why go outside where you will be exposed to virulent communicable disease? Why go outside where left-handedness is discouraged and righteousness has been redefined as acumen? This one is called The Lost Boys. They live in Colorado and Washington State, Alabama, and the Carolinas. They squeak by on sad inheritances and pristine discards. Every day hurts, just a little, but not enough, so dreams billow in and smother ideas. Meanwhile, the body does its daily dance alone. It's a neutral life, frighteningly fun. 1 fills one's lugs with schadenfreude. 2 finds the missile hidden in the boot. Tomorrow will be incandescent, but if it isn't, who will remember to regret? Day bleeds into day and eventually clots into a life. Remember what Eminem taught. Let your longing be your GPS. I have 2 more. This one's called All About the Tumor. Stupidity is not a mask. It is the face, and it is the face that betrays us always. That is the lesson of mirrors. I was apoplectic about corruption. I appealed to outside magic, ideas bright and dark. Sonia solaced me. Flirting with eternity, strangling the larynx of the sky, I stood on edges and matriculated fervency. I read in the phonemes of the trees, happiness is the habit of right reason practicing vice. My course was set. I fell in with felons, derogatory men who lived on the verge of mercy. They sequenced my DNA, for it was all about the tumor, you see. For the health of the state, it had to be ripped away. We used mindfulness. I recuperated in Sonia's arms. Some days, we think back and remember Abelard. It's a wonderful life until it's not. And I'm going to finish with this poem, which is called Call to Arms. As the commodity market is closed for repair, and as young girls in filigree slips will one day clutter its brackish aisles, I call upon all cashiers and dungarees who bag skeins of possibility to contact their flaccid pastors who, alert to maladroit nuance, will bedevil the stingy hinges to revision. As the accommodation lobby is locked for holiday, and as fey valedictorians with filigree degrees will one day flourish in its aisles. I call upon the multifarious baristas who defend the flag children in rags to denounce the gregarious precinct captains, for they, being vile and nefarious, will not serve. As the Consolation Mall is marked for demolition, and as blue-collar bankers with filigree fears will one day reconfigure its darkened aisles, I call upon those whose sinister principles tax the weakness of their conscience to divest themselves of the rhetoric that bloats their coats with Sagittarian wind and with rare debauchery, marry themselves to anyone spiritually innocent of crime. As the Turbidity District is targeted for annexation, and as the army of misanthropes with filigree whips will one day co-opt its mosaic aisles, I call upon all those deracinated by dreaming big, and all those assassinated by dreaming small, to burn their fish oil capsules, to shred their certificates of privilege, and to reach inside alarm and pluck temerity out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill. And I just want to say a few words before we end. I never thought I'd be here 15 years still doing the press, and I'm really glad I am. And I never did it alone. There's many people who helped me along the way. And I just want to say I've met so many kind and wonderful people, and that's the most important thing to me. So thank you so much, you guys, for reading tonight and celebrating with me. And thank you to all of you who attended. It's very special and it means a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Gloria.
And I guess that's it. So
Could I talk to a couple
Thank you.
people?
yeah, you can talk for a little bit if you want.
Yeah.
Gloria.
Can you unmute everybody?
They can unmute as they
So
talk. That's easier.
anyway, I thank you, Rob Sukol, for coming. I hadn't seen you before. It was great to have you here. Oh, Joni, now we can see you. And Larissa, you were great. Thanks for coming, everybody. Gail and Lori and Sherry and Annie and Leah, my wife, and and Dan. Hi, Dan. Dan Weinberg from Chicago also. So anyway, thanks all for coming.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
great hearing you.
Thanks,
Thank
Bill,
you.
for coming.
Wonderful reading, Bill.
Fantastic reading, both of you. Thank you for sharing.
Oh,
Really
Sam,
enjoyed the reading.
Also, Larissa, it's great to hear you.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Both
for
of you
coming.
read beautifully, both of you. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yay.
Oh, it's so nice to see everybody.
yeah, it's really nice because we're spread all around the country. It's pretty great, from Texas to